Thank you, thank you, thank you, and hello to everyone here. I'm going to jump right into it. This panel, Me Inc., is all about how to turn our creativity into a career. That way we can create the life for ourselves that we have always imagined. So we're going to be getting into things like contracts, protecting your IP, how to get a collab, and really just talking about like how we have these ideas that we have in our head and we really want to turn them into something that can, bring us to fruition. So let's have our panelists get up here. I'm going to introduce them quickly. So first up, we have Tim Rivera. He is a content creator and filmmaker. You may have seen him wrestling on the subway. Yes, right here. Next up, we have Pablo Sagara. He is an intellectual property attorney. We all need an attorney. They literally said that in the last panel. So we're so happy. Yes, you got your rounds of applause. Give him another round of applause. Attorneys, am I right? Okay, next up we have Daniela Mora. She is a comedian and content creator as well. Woo! And I made that quick in the essence of time, but also they're going to introduce themselves. So, I can't do it as good as they can. So, all of you, hello. Please tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? And what is one myth that you want to debunk around being a business-minded creative?
So what's up, y'all? My name is Tim Rivera. I'm from Spanish Harlem. I'm a content creator. One myth that I just always was like, nah, that's not true. Like, followers don't matter when you create content, when you're like, none of that matters. You know what I'm saying? As long as you got the idea and you have the quality and consistency, that's what matters. But anybody that has they have more followers than me, I don't have that many followers. Nah, you could do whatever you want. So, yeah.
Thank you. I would agree. 178,000 feels just like 1,000. Trust me.
I mean, you could throw a couple my way, by the way. Pablo Segura, I'm an intellectual property attorney. I work with a company called Trademarkia. We have about 130,000 clients around the world. I have clients as far as Australia, as close as the Bronx. Born and raised in New York, Puerto Rican. I've been living in the Dominican Republic the past 9 years because I don't like the cold for nothing. Been working remote from there as an intellectual property attorney. I'm also a retired police officer. I used to be a cop in New York for about 13 years, most of it in Washington Heights. And I just had my best slice of pizza in the entire year because I don't live here anymore. So thank you for that, by the way.
Hi, I'm Daniela Mora. I'm a full-time stand-up comedian and content creator. I'm a New York native. I would have to jump on what Tim said. I think followers are important. That is kind of how you can like sell yourself and showcase, what you can do, who you can reach. But there's so many verticals with content. Like, if you don't have the biggest amount of following, you can go into UGC or be a director or, just start editing. So, it's not such a one-way streak. And there's so many ways to think about how you can make a business out of content and social media in general. And I think, you shouldn't be discouraged if you're not like at a number that you want yet. Because like as long as you're making something that you like and people are seeing it, that's more than enough.
Love that. Thank you. Speaking of followers and, all of that, let's talk really quickly about like the viral moment. So many people see a viral moment and they don't really understood what it took to get there. So my question for you guys is, what are some of those like skills and lessons you learned the way, and like what did it take for you guys to get there?
So for me, well, first of all, I do a lot of crazy skits. For those that don't know, I wrestle on the subway. I cosplay and wrestle on the subway. It's called Subway Mania. And that has gotten me so far, as silly as it sounds. Like, I'm able to interview, WWE wrestlers now. And, like I get tickets to go to WrestleMania. Like, I was featured on the WrestleMania intro, WrestleMania 41. You know what I mean? So, like, with viral moments, I feel like it's all about strategy and timing. Again, like for me, like that WrestleMania 41 point when I was in the promo, that was all strategic. Like I knew I needed to film a Subway Mania 3 weeks before WrestleMania was gonna air, even though they were in Las Vegas. So So what I usually do is I have fans there, and I let them, record on their phone and stuff like that, and then like they'll send it to me, and I post the iPhone footage, right? Because that usually goes viral, and then I have like an actual, camera footage, three cameras, commentary, and then I release that. So I let the iPhone footage go viral. I let it, give it time, a couple weeks, and then that's when it gets, millions of views and people see it and stuff like that. So I feel like for me, it's just all about just the timing. And then once that video goes viral, you got to keep going. You got to keep posting like other stuff. You know what I mean? Even if you want to recycle the content, you know what I mean? You could get different angles. If I'm not wrestling on the subway all the time. I do it like two or three times a year. But I stretch it out. You know what I mean? I keep posting different angles, and then also showcase other things that you do. I also do another character called Jim the Gentrifier, which also goes, viral online and stuff like that. So I post that and just showing people like, yo, I do the wrestling, I do the interviews with the wrestlers, I can wrestle on dressed in cosplay, and also got other characters too. So it's just like planting different seeds all over and letting those things go viral. And just, again, like what I like to say is just everything has to be organic. You know what I mean? Let the people comment, let them respond, and give it time. Because you could post something and you be like, damn, I could curse. I don't. Yeah, oh my bad. My stuff is not going. It's not going viral. But like a week later, your stuff could get on the explore page, and people start to pick it up. Like, you know what I mean? Or weeks, months later. So just give it time, be consistent, and take advantage of that viral moment. So.
I just want to say that from my perspective, right? Because I do a lot of videos on my Instagram and stuff like that, explaining what intellectual property is. I did not know what intellectual property was until I went to law school. Had no idea the difference between a trademark, a copyright, and a patent. Some of you may not have that idea either. What's the difference, right? And it's very important. And I will say that in the perspective of an attorney, when it comes to virality, you don't really know when it's going to happen. So it's not like Tim can do a video and pinpoint, oh, this one's going to go viral at 3 p.m. on Friday, so we need to start doing the protections now for that. No. You want to protect when Tim has 100 followers, right? You want to do it as a company. You want to be able to say, okay, I own the trademark to this name, to this YouTube page, to my name. If you got a logo, my logo, because when that viral moment does come, you're protected. You're good. There was a very interesting case, when was it, last year with the very demure, right? Did you guys hear about that, right? And so basically it's like, went viral. She went viral completely, but she couldn't do anything around the word, right? So virality is very interesting because you can also get these cases where he may do a video, right? Our video may pop up and somebody just says, you know what, I'm gonna do a different version of it. How do you protect that, right? So that's the world that I live in when it comes to virality.
That's interesting. I feel like I don't know anything about IP stuff. Is that a panel after this, or? Yeah, I think for me, maybe when I first started out, and some expectations that were reality is that it doesn't happen overnight. I worked in social media since I was in college, so like 6+ years now. I had a full-time job as a social media manager, and I started stand-up when I moved to this city 3 years ago. And while I picked up that social media job, I was like, I want to be the one that they're talking about, because we were working with clients, and I was like, oh, maybe I can do it. And I was like, oh, I can't really like put myself in front of my bosses like that. So I started on my own. Like, I began posting a lot. I had a lot of like viral meme pages, and my TikTok was like bombing every day, but I was still posting. And it finally happened like about a year and a half ago. I was able to be full-time, and it doesn't happen overnight. I feel like we see like a lot of these like Alex Earl or like influencers that like pop up, and you're like, oh my God, how did she have like 500,000 followers? This must have just happened. Like, it takes years, Like, I am only on my 3rd year of comedy, but like I would say maybe like my first, maybe like 1.5 years of being like financially stable to be able to do it full time. And that's because...
Can we get a round of applause for that? I'm sorry. But
wow,
that's a big
thanks.
deal. Yeah, that's awesome.
Nice. Yeah. But it's rough. I mean, I post 5 times a day, and I'm, constantly recording videos. I changed my outfit. They saw me earlier, came very early. had time to kill. I went back home, filmed 2 videos because I was like, I'm wearing blush. Like I can't let that go to waste. So it definitely doesn't happen overnight. Unfortunately, I don't think that you can like take a break. You probably could, but I think kind of what Tim said, like once you get a viral video, momentum is like so huge. Like I don't think I've went a week without posting in the past 2 years because I want to get you more, like you want to kind of keep it going. So the algorithm is like, tormenting and upsetting and whatnot, but it's possible and it takes time and a lot of trial and error. So if you're like stuck in 200 views, like been there, like it takes a long time. So keep going.
Jasmine, can we get your perspective on that too, please?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think for me, a lot of the lessons and skills that I learned was to just make sure that I still have fun with it. It can be easy to just start looking at numbers and like make up some arbitrary goal for yourself. And I had heard a lot about people doing that when I first started. And I just remember being like, I'm going to make sure I never do that because once it's about the numbers, you kind of like lose the fun. So I really do make it a big point to not care about the numbers, which is why I said 178,000 feels like one, because at the end of the day, 178,000 people aren't giving me $1, so it's okay. They're there. That's awesome. I love having a community, especially one that engages with me online. But you really have to have fun with it, and I think that when you're starting your career, you just have to focus on that. The joy and the passion from it, and all the accolades will come after as long as you stay true to that. At some point I was like, I don't even want to do brand deals. I'm just making jokes on here. But then they came and I was like, oh my God, wait, there's a real thing. Hold up. So I would say like when you're starting off your career to, keep the fun there. Thank you for throwing that back. Okay, so what are like some things that people can start doing now before the growth to best set themselves up for success? I feel like there's like a big I feel like that's big for you. To set themselves up for success there, and then I'll get into my next one.
So we always have to think like Nike. We have to look at these big companies, Apple, Nike, and a lot of being an attorney is even replicating what their lawyers do, right? What do I mean by that? Nike, what do they protect? They protect the name Nike. They protect the logo, the swoosh. They protect the slogan, just do it, right? When I look at a brand, at this point, I got to think about 900 to 1,000 clients, and I'm managing it once, right? So it's overwhelming, 6 days a week, pretty much I'm doing this. If you tell me, for example, if I'm going to your website, which I think I should have done this and went to everybody's website before I got here. But if I go to your website, right, I'm gonna look, okay, name, we gotta protect that. Logo, is there a logo attached to that name? Let's protect that. Slogan, is there a slogan on there? Do they have various versions of their logo? Are you doing your name and then doing initials? Also, what classes? Classes are part of my job as an intellectual property attorney is to figure out what exactly it is you're doing so I could protect it, right? Videos, right? Your YouTube channel, completely protectable, right? If you look at, maybe you want to do some merch, right? Okay, that's another class. Now we got to protect that to make sure nobody could do the merch in the name of your company. We always want to start with at least an LLC. Do not do business with your name. Never, please. Because why? What happens is that when that does go to court and you have an issue, the court can come for your house, your car. But if they do it under the business, the court can only go to the assets of the business, right? Granted, unless there's some criminal stuff, and that's a whole nother story. You don't want to call me, call somebody else. But that's the basis of it, is think business automatically, everything that I create, what am I going to name this, and how can I protect it? Just start with those two, and you'll be ahead of the game with a lot of people. And I will say that in this community particularly, I am Puerto Rican, so I can't say this. We are incredibly creative. I think we are some of the most creative people in the world. At the same time, we are some of the most giving people in the world. So we tend to create and we tend to give without thinking of that business in between, which is why I try to show up and, hit you with a chancleta and say, we have to protect this. So there you go.
Thank you. I feel like I should have been taking notes. So you have one of those courses? Are you a buy my course person?
No.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay.
Maybe I should, but no, not yet.
Okay. Okay, so most creators view brand partnerships not just as a way to make revenue, but as a sign that they've reached a new level as a creator. And that is now being recognized by the world. So talk to me about like some of your brand partnerships. What does an appealing brand or creator for Tim and Daniela? Everyone here has created exciting partnerships, from the Giants to WWE. Let's demystify this for the audience. So, what does an appealing brand/creator look like, and what advice do you have for creators who want those opportunities and are ready to actually put in the work to get there? Because trust me, there's a lot of work. Tell me about it.
So I feel like with me, like I started doing the Subway Mania stuff, and it was very like controversial at the time because it's like you guys are filming in the subway, it's like chaotic. So for me, from my experience, consistency. You know what I mean? People knew me in the WWE and in the wrestling world, but they were like, yeah, we know you, but we can't really acknowledge you. Like whenever I would see them at conventions or whatever. So I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna keep posting. I've been doing it for years. Like it's about to be 10 years. So, and I just do it for fun. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's fun. I love creating content. And I'm also a video editor. So it's like, it's a project for me. You know what I mean? So it's like, now, we continue to go viral. Got the, when I was on WrestleMania. But then also, it's also like, being able to show a different side of me. So one day I woke up, I was like, I'm gonna start interviewing wrestlers. Like whenever they come in town, like legends, I'm gonna ask. I don't know what I'm gonna ask, but I'm gonna figure it out. And I kept going with that. So now, right, I'm going viral with the Subway Mania. I got the interviews going on, and the reels are going crazy. You know what I mean? Like I'm hitting 1 million views just asking questions, you know what I mean? Breaking it into parts. So now when I write to the WWE, I have something to offer. Hey, like either Subway Mania, or if you got a wrestler in town, or maybe we could collaborate on something, with my page, and I could interview them asking questions. And I just also want to add too, like, I'm a video editor, like I said. I used to work for Gary Vee for like a year or something. So one day, Triple H, y'all know who Triple H is, right? Like from WWE.
It's the water.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. He came into the office, right, doing a business deal with Gary Vee. So I wasn't even gonna go into the office that day, but I went in anyway, like, to work. They're like, yo, Triple H is here or whatever. So fast forward, he finishes like this 3-hour meeting, and he already knows who I am, not because I'm working with Gary Vee, but just because of the Subway Mania stuff. So that was like major for me, and I got like, an interview with him. So again, like, it's just being consistent, you know what I mean, sticking to your guns, and just creating content that you love. I love wrestling, so you see it in my work, you know what I mean? So if you want to, whatever it is you want to do, like sports, cartoons, I don't know, anime, whatever it is, just be consistent and let the work speak for itself, and don't take no for an answer. Even if they're silent, keep going, bro. Keep going. So that's,
Thank you, Daniela.
Yeah, I loved all that you said. I think that's very accurate. I think, with the question about being like brand friendly and whatnot as a creator would probably go back to your point that you obviously need to have fun. You need to like be yourself online, and whatever you like, you should share that. So this is a weird example. David Dobrik was like obsessed with Chipotle, and he would post all these YouTube videos talking about Chipotle, and they gave him a lifetime free of Chipotle. So like whenever I'm making videos, I'm either like, maybe in like a shirt that's like kind of nice, and I would maybe tag the brand. And then you could message them and be like, hey, love your clothes, tag them in some photos. Like it's, you want to make a relationship with all these brands and people. And I think just being able to get brand deals and stuff, it's definitely determined by metrics and like gender, age, like all these things. But as long as like you're putting out something that is authentic and organic, and they're like, oh, that aligns, she wears a lot of sunglasses, let's send her some sunglasses, whatever it may be. I think that there's always room. There's been times that I've worked with like EOS, from Giants, like the very much a range. But you can really do it all. And I think that collaboration is big. Like he was saying, like, shouting out people on your page and whatnot. Like if you see someone that's doing something that you want to do and you're like, oh, this girl, this guy, whoever it is doing something and they work with these people that I want to work with, you could reach out to them or you can kind of, follow, maybe not follow in their footsteps, but just kind of have that as inspiration. I've met so many people through people messaging me like, love your content, and like I would go to like a happy hour with them or some event. So I think having a nice community is great. Kind of narrowing down like what you want. I think like a good goal would be like, if you want to work with this brand one day, write that down and maybe try to think of different ways how you can showcase that. If it's like interviewing, people outside of the store and being like, what's your favorite shoe? Or it's you like rating you in those outfits, like whatever it is. But, if you can kind of like angle yourself to get somewhere. So I feel like if you just like think on it, get a little creative, whatever you have to do to get there. But I think it's possible, and social media is just such a great tool. Like you can meet celebrities. Like all of my comedian friends have really had so much success in posting and just like making these connections that you would never even meet these people, So definitely post the drafts. I know y'all got a lot in there.
Big on post the drafts. I would also add, like when working with a lot of brands, especially bigger brands, they want a page that's clean. So if you curse a lot, clean it up. And if you don't want to clean it up, that's fine. You don't have to clean it up. But if you're trying to get this bag and get this money, clean it up. Maybe you curse a little bit less. If you always got your tetas out, maybe you take them out maybe once a week. Maybe they don't not out all the time. Continue doing what you want to do, but just understand that like from a brand perspective, they need something that is marketable, and you are going to want to make yourself marketable. And there's a way to do that, and stay true to like your community. So, whenever I pitch a brand, I'm always pitching like Grinch Titi. I'm like, I got Grinch Titi. She's cool. My community loves her. She could do a little something with you. So you can do that, but just for bigger brands, they are really strict about like, keeping things clean.
I was kind of asking if Grinch Titi was going to make an appearance today, but
I left her at home. I'm tired of her. If you don't know Grinch Titi, you got to check it out. Okay, Pablo, next one's for you. What are the clauses and conditions that creatives should look out for when first dealing with their first opportunities?
Okay, so let's kind of take a step back before I get into legal jargon, which I'm not going to do anyway. Just think about a contract. What is a contract, right? It's an agreement. It's just something saying that you and me, we're putting something down on paper to agree to whatever that's going to be, right? You're going to pay me for this. I'm going to do this. That's how we're going to go forward. If I don't do it, if you don't pay me, then we got problems, right? So it's pretty simple. Today, it's very difficult because of the world of AI. So when it comes to AI, please, please, please understand what contracts are and understand what these clauses are. Do not create a contract on AI. Do not ask ChatGPT for a contract. You can do it and then call me and say, hey, does this work out? And I'll tell you what works and what doesn't work, right? Okay, that's fine. It's great to have an understanding of it. In between two groups, there's two main contracts that I see a lot. One of them is a collaboration deal where we're doing this together, right? They're going to provide her with clothes, right? She's going to provide them with content. Maybe there's no cash involved. It's just that's what the interaction is, right? The exchange. And then there's work for hire. Work for hire means I'm paying you to do this for me, and that's it. The difference between those two is extremely important in today's world because the collaboration deal, we have to understand who owns that content, right? If we do something together, do we both own it? Do you own it? I'll give you an example. I spoke at a VidCon a couple of months ago in Los Angeles, and I paid a company to record me speaking because I don't have any videos of me speaking. And the first question I asked them was, am I going to be able to keep the raw footage of this, all of the footage they created? I had to ask for that. They weren't going to give it to me. And I had to kind of fight them a little bit and say, this is all of we're going to sit down and do a 2-hour interview, and I'm not going to have any videos. You're just going to give me what you created for me. So things like that you have to think about. When it comes to work for hire, no, you have to be clear that you're paying somebody to do this for you, right? Another clause that we have to watch out for is artificial intelligence now, and this is something that attorneys are understanding the past couple of years. I've given a lot of trainings to attorneys, probably about 300 or 400 attorneys at this point, on artificial intelligence with contracts. There's clauses in place now, and I'm very happy that, where is he? I'm very happy when they send me the contract to do this, it actually said it, that the film festival Futuro cannot use our content for their AI training models, right? So that's something new to pay attention to. If there's no clause in there that says the other person cannot use your content, the content they create, to put it into their AI training model, that's kind of a red flag. Because to be honest with you, I can walk around this room and I can go to everybody's page right now. I could take notes. By the time I get home, I can go through and copy and paste everybody, take screenshots, put it into my chat GPT. Now I just stole everybody's ideas. And we're at the point right now that that's very difficult to protect. So all we can protect right now are in what's in the four corners of that contract. So just think about it that way. It's basically like, we're agreeing to something. Is everything that we agreed to on that contract, is everything that you said when you were going to pay me, is that on that contract? And who owns what we create? Is it creating together or is it creating separately?
Thank you, thank you. I would also add exclusivity, because exclusivity is expensive. So if you work with a brand and then they want exclusivity for 6 months, you can't work with any other competitor brands, then they need to pay you for what you would have made during those 6 months. So if they're gonna pay you, $10,000 for that video and they want 6 months exclusivity, I'm like, well, I could have made a video a month. So are you gonna throw up that $60,000? So definitely be aware of that, and usage too. Like, what are they using it for? Are they running ads on it? Because that's expensive too. And you could charge them a lot of money because they have it. Doing things alone is never easy. And even though at the beginning, we may be the only ones, who might believe in our vision, at some point we need to tap into our resources to keep growing. I did stuff alone for 2 years before I met anybody. So I can definitely attest to that. So my question, Tim and Daniela, when you guys first started out, versus right now, how have your team and tools grown to help you manage your creativity and your career?
Well, for me, I always had crazy ideas. So, I'm very blessed to have some crazy friends, you know what I mean? My friends, literally my neighbors in my building, since kids, they're still doing content with me. So, the first time I came up with the Subway Mania idea, I'm like, yo, bro, here, throw on these leggings, put on the mask, we're gonna go wrestle on the subway. You wear the underwears, like The Rock. Trust me. They're like, all right, bet. I'm like, trust me, bro, it's gonna go viral. No, yo, for real, and it gets even more crazier. I'm like, yo, bro, do this, go through a table. We're gonna put a table on the train. I'm gonna bring my dad's ladder, and then we're gonna jump and then go through. And they're like, all right, bro, whatever you want me to do. But
we're gonna break backs.
Yeah, nah, but I'm so grateful, when you have a team, because it's important, we're directors when we're creating content. We're directing, we're producing our own stuff. So we gotta be confident, you know what I mean? Even if the ideas are crazy, be confident, because when you lead, your team, your people, they gonna ride with you. And you know what I mean? Just, make sure the quality is there and just put in the effort, you know what I mean? But yeah, I feel like a good team is important. And if you don't have a team yet, do it yourself, you know what I mean? Sometimes you don't need permission, permits, or whatever it is, all the fancy quality, you know what I mean? Just do it. Once you do it and you consistent, then people are gonna be like, all right, you know what? I don't care about your followers. I don't care about that. I just want to work with you because the quality and the vision is there. And then more people going to want to work with you. You know what I mean?
Right.
But you just got to keep going, bro. I'm telling you. And then the crazy friends and all that, they're going to be with it, man. They're going to be with it.
Keep doing what you're doing and you will attract your people. And also look for your people. Figure out who are you? How do you identify? And then maybe Google people, with that identification. If you're I'm a comedian in New York City, Google comedians in New York City. Hit them up, find them, reach out. That's something I didn't do when I was first starting, because I, didn't understand what I identified as yet. But eventually my people found me. So do your thing, your people will find you. And if you know who you are and you figured it out, then go find them. Daniela, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I think being so fortunate to have family and friends as a first person to be hold my phone, it's so helpful. I too, when I first started, I think you really do start alone, just because you have a weird idea and you're filming, so I definitely still do a lot of my content, that I post alone, and I'm on stage alone, so that isn't a group thing, but I have like a sister and whatnot. And I mean, my mom doesn't record, but she would. But like just like a good team, like definitely like an internal team. Like I'll have friends help film something or like riff on an idea, and then also once you do kind of start getting your footing, you can easily like find your community or just other people that are doing the same thing. And I don't think they care about like followers just yet. Like it's just like, oh, we're all like doing, New York based content. Let's all meet up. And I would say the internet loves that. Like they love when I'm like with someone else that's like kind of similar and they'll be like, oh my God, you too, so it's fun because they're all watching the same stuff. So collaborating with people is nice. But yeah, I think you can definitely gather around some people, but starting on your own is, that's how we all do it. And then your group will find you and you'll find some more like-minded people. But
do you guys have like any quick words for management teams? Like, do you have managers? Did you get them? Did they come to you?
I signed with someone pretty early on who was like a smaller manager. So I did like have kind of like some lead in that world. But I'm currently like now with a new management company. It's been, a couple years. And that was great. Obviously, like, if you're getting into like the industry talk, that can be like a little stressful sometimes. But going through transitions with like managers and agents and whatnot, they'll mostly come to you. I definitely did do like slight outreach just to like have some conversation to like get some chatter going. But most of it is like, if you're posting online, people are seeing your videos, they're being sent around, people are tagging their friends, like it's in a group chat, like it's gonna get to some eyes that work for someone's uncle's sister's babysitter, like it's gonna find its way up. So
I will say that I've tried to make myself more accessible too, in that lawyers are expensive, right? But I feel that the law should be accessible to everybody. I always say that I've been translating the law for the past 20 years. I was a police officer and now I'm an attorney. How many times in your lives do you see a cop? Once to 3 times when you don't want to. How many times do you see an attorney? 1 to 3 times when you don't want to, right? So I started to offer more services in terms of, well, if you just need me for 5 hours a month, here's the cost. Just pay this and let's just figure it out. You don't need to lock me up forever. You don't need to pay me a salary every month. And I do feel that my generation of lawyers that we were basically thrown out into the world when COVID, started, we work remote. I live in Dominican Republic, and I am an attorney in New York, and I'm here working, right? So I don't have that overhead cost of where I need some big fancy office, I need some whole huge staff. No, you call me, you talk to me. And I think that it's also important for, everybody up here to find that type of management that's willing to work with you at the stage you're at, because not necessarily everybody needs to go to these huge law firms either. You don't need that right now at your career. When you get to the standpoint that, you're doing international, national deals, maybe that's a different point to be at, and you want to get there.
Okay, guys, we're at our 5-minute mark, so I want to ask if you guys have any questions. Let me know. Raise your hand. Any questions? Yes. You got a mic.
All right. Yeah, I don't have a good voice. I'm sorry. So when I first started in this business, money was tight. So now what would your advice to be to somebody who wants that legal representation? When we started, I came from law enforcement also. I retired in 23, and now I'm based in Tampa, but I have to travel a lot. So now we can afford to make those moves. But before, like you said, the services are expensive. Like my attorney is Fox Rothschild, and they're money. We had to get contracts. We had to go to Sundance, all these different things. What would be your advice for me 5 years ago? Because a lot of people are challenged, to make those moves. So what would be your advice 5 years ago when we couldn't afford it?
Vibes. No. I'm joking about it, but at the same time, I'm kind of serious too. Finding an attorney, it's like not necessarily girlfriend or boyfriend level, but it's somebody that's going to be there with you to tell you the truth and tell you, no, this is a dumb idea, right? The way that I've gained a lot of clients' trust is because I'm honest. If you tell me I'm going to create this idea of a light that changes 17 different colors and I'm going to call it the Apple light, I'm going to tell you no, because Apple is doing everything around technology, and we probably got a problem, and you're going to get sued, right? If you have an attorney that's going to come to you and just, if you feel where it's all about money and it's all about dollars and cents, that's not the one for you. That's not the management for you, period. It's understandable to be with maybe a larger firm, larger agents. Yeah, you see the allure of it, and it's like, oh my God, they're going to have so many contacts and so much great stuff for me. They may not be the right one for you at that time either. So I always say that it's important that when you're on the phone, when you're in person, when you're meeting with your management team, not just attorneys, that they give you the proper time and respect. They don't rush you off the phone. It's similar to a doctor's office. If you have an issue and you go to the doctor's office and the doctor tells you to come in and he doesn't let you finish your sentence before he's getting you out of the room, that's not the doctor you want to go to. So I would say vibes in a more professional manner. Yeah.
Amen to that. If you cannot talk to your team, that should not be your team, period. Do we have any other questions? Yes, back there. Hi.
My name is Rob. I have a question for Jasmine, Tim, and Daniela, which is when you're creating content and you're posting so many times a day, you're working with brand deals, you're attending events like this, how do you guys prevent burnout? I find myself that when I might hit a viral video, I try to do one video after, I lose steam so quickly, and I'm not able to catapult on that momentum, and then I get really distracted by all the noise. So how do you guys stay so grounded and continue to push forth? You mentioned consistency, but how does that actually look like, and how do you prevent burnout so you can have a long sustainable career?
I feel like for me, so again, like when I do the subway stuff, like that's a lot, bro. I'm buying cosplay, I'm wrestling on the subway. I'm not trying to do that all the time. And then with the interviews, like it's hard to get interviews, you know what I mean, all the time when they're in New York. So what I do, like for me, is like I find different ways to make my content easier. So it's like, okay, like I'm gonna do the little, I don't know the name of the TikTok green screen stuff, like doing stuff like that I'm like, okay, that's easy. I could do that while, I don't know, I'm washing clothes, you know what I mean? And I'll talk over it. So that, boom, that's content. Then I have another piece of content that I could recycle, post that. You know what I mean? Recycling content, like just because you post it one time doesn't mean that, okay, I can't post it again. Now, you could do green screen stuff. You could edit it in a different way. You could do the text on screen. You could add, you know, like when it says, my car broke down, you know what I mean, or something like that. Or like wrestling on the subway. You could repost the video and add different text on screen, add different songs, and you could post that video like 5 times, bro, just different ways. And then, boom, you got 5 pieces of content every day. You could post pictures, you could post, you know what I mean? You don't have to be stuck on one thing, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, I love that. Make your content easier. I used to edit on Adobe Premiere Pro, and it would take me 2 days to edit like a 3-minute video. And I was like, you know what? This ain't working. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I can turn this into 1-minute videos and just edit on CapCut. And that allowed me to create a lot more content. Also, I don't overthink my content. So when I make like, you know, Grinch Titi went to the Bad Bunny concert, like literally I made that and it probably took me 10 minutes because I'm just not gonna overthink it. So, and sometimes I'll go back and be like, damn, I could have made that a lot better because now I have more funny ideas. So sometimes I'm like, damn, I should have sat on it. But you have to like get out of sitting on it and just post it. And lastly, I would say that I always factor in like rest time. Like I love a slow morning and I'm gonna have a slow morning every day. So lucky for me, like I'm self-employed now fully and I can do that. But if you can like find a moment in your day to just factor, like literally it's part of your schedule, slow time, do that. Like I'm not starting work, you know, ideally until 11 a.m. the earliest. I like my mornings.
Me too. I think, yeah, kind of what Tim said, I think the key is finding like low effort content. Like I think you have a couple of buckets and like, for instance, I do stand up and I make sketches. That's like way more for me to do. I'm like writing and planning it versus if I just throw my phone up and do a quick TikTok, that takes me like 10 minutes. So sometimes I'll do more of that, less of this. And I think everyone's different, honestly, with like burnout stuff because I also have a lot of friends that post like a 10-minute YouTube video that's edited crazy, and that's it for the week. So, you know, I think it's like quality over quantity sometimes, but you'll be able to like find your groove. And if you kind of give yourself a schedule, like 3 a week, even if one's a repost, one's, of you sitting down, just talking to the camera, and the other one's like actually one that took you a minute, try to like keep to a schedule, I guess.
Thank you. Thank you guys so much. One moment. Come on up here, Calixto.
I was gonna ask you a question,
Oh, we have a question. Yes.
but you probably answered it already. But I was like thinking about like trademarks. How many people do you feel like that's the first thing people think about when they think about protecting their content?
-1.
Yes.
And I will tell you that it's a very challenging time to be an attorney because when I went to law school in 2013, right? I was 30 years old going to law school, and we had Instagram, we had social media, we didn't have AI. So now with artificial intelligence, it's making it very difficult for me as an attorney to tell you can protect your work, right? Because when it comes to trademarks, AI, you can use it, create names, create logos. I trademark them all day. It's not a problem. To take a step back, a trademark is a name and a logo. A copyright is the creation from that name and logo. A patent, it's the discovery. It's a design. It's the iPhone has a patent. The name is the trademark, the logo, right? And then the copyright is like anything that's been created from it. With copyrights, you cannot use AI. To a certain extent, you can use AI. So that affects the film industry hugely, as we saw with the writer's strike, right? So there's a lot of intricate laws that are coming that have not been created yet, that I feel that I'm at a very, very good point because I've been used to dealing with the law forever, so it doesn't scare me. But it's the last thing that people think of because, as I mentioned earlier, we're such a community of creativity and then give, create and then give, create and then give. Where's the legal step? We don't think that way.
Yeah, I think we tend to be more, maybe it's a cultural thing, but emotional thinkers are not always the best strategic thinkers. You know what I mean? And one thing that I've realized, and I don't know if you guys have recognized, like, I don't know if you're incorporated or if you have LLCs, but one thing that I realized really early on is my lived experience with the Latino Film Festival. I was really young when it was coming up, but I realized early on that this is a company, this is a separate person than me. And the way that it helped me to operate and lead is I had to think that this was an individual, this was a separate being that I worked for. And to this day, I still think this way. And it's true, I'm an employee of the New York Latino Film Festival. Put the founder shit aside, put all of that, I am an employee. I can get fired, you know what I mean? Or whether it's through the partners, or whether it's just in general, like I still have to uphold the company I have to answer to my team. They don't answer to me, I gotta answer to them. You know what I mean? With the staff.
But we've
the
gotten here,
audiences.
but how many years have you been doing this now?
I heard it was 25.
Right, exactly. Can we get a round of applause for that? That's huge. That's gigantic. Because of that mindset. That's why.
But that also, maybe that's something for you guys to think about, whether you're an entrepreneur or anything like that. I also had to play the role of an executive director because I had so much self-doubt, whatever, but I felt like if I played this role as an executive director, which I am, but whatever, like, this is not Calixto, this is his job, and his job happens to be working for the New York Latino Film Festival, that helped me out in how I navigated myself and how I led others. And I don't know if you find yourselves doing this as entrepreneurs because you are not only content creators, but I'm sure you want to evolve and diversify your revenue so it's not just swipe left, swipe right. How do you create longevity? And so for me, it's like, I don't know if you think of yourselves, and this is an open question, because I know you're changing it up, and I've seen how, this woman, she's doing her thing with the coffee and all that, and diversifying her
100%. Can we get a round of applause for that, too?
So Jasmine, you're doing your
Thank you,
thing.
thank
She's
you.
awesome.
But even as a witness, like, I feel like I'm a front and center to, your glow up, because I've seen you grow and all of that, but I don't know if you guys have thought about this. It's like, okay, now it's Me Inc. for real. And not only that, but now, you want to be in the blessed situation where videographers are working for you, or other wrestlers are working for you, other people are working for you. Like, have you thought about that as you start thinking, okay, what's the next 10 years looking like?
I'd love to take that one. You know what? Yes, I'm always thinking about longevity and, multiple income streams because when you are an entrepreneur and you're self-employed, this is like my second year doing it, and when you're fighting net 60 and you do a gig and you're not going to get the money for 2 months, you have to really think about like, okay, how am I going to hustle? And I've been hustling for a long time. And I would say in terms of like longevity, I am a big proponent of using your entire toolbox. Some people will tell you, do that one thing and go hard, lock in. I can't do that. Like, that's just not how I work. I'm like using every single tool I have in the box. So, I have my agent and I'm getting commercial work through my agent. I have my friends that are filmmakers and writers and I'm doing independent projects with them. And, if I can get that in a film festival, great, awesome. Now I have another thing on my notch, like on my list. I'll submit myself to things as well. And then I'm also like, okay, content. I have to keep my funny stuff because that's just what I'm passionate about and what I started. So I got to make sure I'm still doing comedy. But then I want that brand gig. So, I talk to my manager and she manages my brand gigs. And I'm like, okay, so, what can we pitch this month? And who do I want to work with? And I think, longevity is about using your entire toolbox. And then, yes, I have a coffee company, which actually came, an opportunity that came from Instagram. Because, again, you never know who's watching. And I'm always of the idea that somebody is always watching. And one day it'll just click for them. And they're going to be like, damn, that's the girl I want for that thing. And that has happened to me so many times. So trust me when I say, like, just do your thing. People will be watching. Just focus on being great and honing in on your craft, whatever that is. So if you're like, I'm a comedian, go watch The Greats and be funny. If you're like, I want to do that, just do your homework and focus on being great. And, that longevity will take you far. But yes, you have to think about, your toolbox and what skills do you have? Because at the end of the day, money comes from someone. So what are they paying you for? And what are you providing?
Tim?
I feel like for me, like literally what she said. So like the money, Subway Mania, right? But then it's like that's like seasonal. You know what I mean? So it's like okay, I'm passionate about being funny too. So it's like okay, right now I'm trying to push my Gym to Gentrify even more now. Like working with small businesses, working with different, trying to work with different brands. You know what I mean? And then it's like having more stuff in my toolbox. You know what I mean? The interviews, having my own podcast. You know what I mean? Having wrestlers on my stuff, trying to get sponsors. So it's just always trying to like, think how can I keep evolving? And especially now with social media is constantly changing. You know what I mean? So it's like once you get it, and it's like, all right, I think I got it. Then there's like what's it called? Like an upgrade on an app. And then it's like, damn, now I got to like figure this out. You know what I mean? So, so, it's just, I'm trying to eventually keep evolving. And I actually have that on my thing. Like I want to start like my own business where it's like I have my filmmakers and stuff like that and editors. Cause like I edit all my stuff. And sometimes, as an editor, it's a lot. And,
There should be Subway Manias in Boston. There should be Subway,
no,
you know
they
what I
saying
mean?
that,
Like,
but I ain't, somebody say, yo, you gotta come to
Barcelona.
Dominican Republic.
Yeah,
There's a Subway.
I
Let's
think
go.
somebody said Costa Rica. So I was like, yeah, that's crazy. The Lucha Libre, the Subway.
Lucha
Mania.
Libre.
Yeah, I'm like, that's crazy.
But you gotta visualize it and dream big.
Yeah,
I mean,
no.
we're going on a 10-city tour after New York.
Yeah, no, that'll be
yeah.
crazy. But yeah, still, that's definitely the thing. Like, I want to have like my own production,
So
social media stuff.
decree and declare it. You got it.
No, yeah, it's gonna
happen.
happen. It's gonna happen. Yeah, thank you. guys.
Words are powerful.
Nah,
Remember
for real.
that.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. It's recorded right now. It's gonna happen.
And you know what? I'm gonna give you a gem before you jump in, and I know you gotta leave, so we'll wrap this up. Write things down. And I'm learning that even if, and you could journal it, whatever.
Vision board.
Vision board, but there's power in the pen. There's power when your mind and your body is being used as an instrument to manifest. I trust and believe it. I've done it. I've received it. So I implore all of you, definitely write your thoughts. Don't twitter the fingers. It doesn't mean nothing. Write it.
paper.
Write it down, what you want to do with yourself. What's the next day look like? What's the next week look like?
And remember that if Instagram goes down, you guys may lose all your followers. So we got to find a way to convert all of those followers to mailing lists, your own website, something to be able to keep connection with that. Because if we have, like Tim said it best, if we have a whole nother new social media revolution, another 5 years, now you got to figure all that out too. That's a lot of work, man. Starting from zero, it's a lot. I've done it too many times.
Daniela, close us out.
Yeah, I love what Jasmine said about the toolbox stuff. Yeah, because you can only depend on so many brand deals or so many collaborations, or I don't know if you sell sneakers. These are random examples, but you being able to use your whole community and thinking what you can do next. And I think once you reach like a certain point in your career or mindset, or you meet these people, you could be like, oh my God, wait, I've always wanted to make merch, or like I'm really passionate about soap, like I should like maybe think about making a soap line. And like these people that do these things, and no one even knows like the face behind Nike or any of these people. So it's not about obviously it's about the person, but making a good product, or just coming from a place that's organic and from you, and making your connections. And I really liked what Jasmine said about that someone will see you online and be like, I love you, bitch. Like it is, I've had so many awesome opportunities come from online. And, I think Tim and everyone can say the same. Like, it's a whole other world, like I got this is like my first panel speaking because I'm online. Like my boyfriend hates me, so it does work out. And someone will see you and be like, yo, she kind of funny, or like whatever it is, like this guy's talented, and they'll be like, we should put her in this, or put him in this, or pitch it to something, like and I don't know, content is king is what they say. But so the internet's a great scary place sometimes, but you can find like great communities and people. And I just feel like now that's like kind of how people are like moving about, like all these brands, or like doing a TikTok trend and stuff, because that's kind of where it's like shifting. So if you're not posting those drafts, I'll say it again, post them.
Well, thank you all so very much. Give these panelists a round of applause.